for 200.
True or false for 200? Let's go. Come on. Okay. Companies with more women generally have a better style of communication compared to companies with more men. True or false?
True.
Brownie points.
True,
Here we
true.
go.
Says
That's
the
true.
the owner of a women-owned business.
See, it's easy, right? Very, very true. Companies with more women generally have better style of communication. I would tell you that there are some men that I've spoken to that say this not because they're saying men are not good at communicating. They just know that women have a better style of communication, which actually includes the other aspect of what we talked about in the question that Katie pulled up, where it's empathy, awareness, understanding. Those things are traits that bring better enhancements to business productivity and drive up revenue. And these are things that are not usually seen when they're doing a lot of compliance and performance reviews, because it's more focused on skill. And not that that's a bad thing. It's just sometimes it kind of goes sideways. But thank you guys for participating. We'll save this on the side. And thank you so much for doing that, Chris, Katie, Kat. We appreciate you. Danielle, it's on you now.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I
Sure.
just wanted to welcome everybody to the February Lean In call for WOGA. I think Tian's probably mentioned this before, but we're basically co-hosting this year. So you'll see us on rotation. Tian did last month. I'm doing this month. So you'll see both of us. And then I also just wanted to thank our sponsors as well, Enerflex, Kahuna, and then Oventive. When we have those in-person lean-ins, they provide a place for us to host the lean-in sessions. So really appreciate that. Next, I just want to touch on a few announcements. Kat, you can chime in if I miss anything here, but the next lean in is on March 21st, and that will be with Diana Hoff. Tian will be hosting that one. And then another thing just to mention, I'm sure you saw it on the website, but we do have the annual Lean In membership ongoing through March 16th. So we'd love for everybody to sign up for the rest of the year. And that will be, actually, this will be the last virtual one, unless plans change. The rest will all be hosted in person, and it will be at Oventive's office. And then last, there is an industry happy hour on April 23rd. So we would love everybody to join. WOGA will be there. And that's all I really have in terms of announcements. So no further ado. I'm going to introduce Anze Mofor, and she's an executive coach and entrepreneur with a passion for leadership and personal development with women and youth. And I'll let Anze fill in the details here because she's doing a lot of great things. So, Anze.
Thank you, Danielle. I appreciate this opportunity to share and share this time with you guys. Being a woman in business and owning businesses myself, I understand the whole context of this. Again, Anze is my name. If you can't pronounce it, please don't feel bad. You can also call me Crystal. I think it makes it easy. I am from Cameroon in West Africa, but I've been in the United States for about maybe 24 years now. And I have had my share of paying my dues with, you know, doing the craziest things, from being a nanny to a housekeeper to all of the stuff that I could do to be able to understand, how to appreciate and be in the workforce. And fast forward, I had this dream when I came to the United States to fly airplanes. So I got in them, started flying them, started learning how to be a pilot, and I said, okay, enough. I want to be able to help women and help youth. And so I started an organization called Bella Masters, which is short for Bantu Education, Love, and Leadership Advancement. understanding where leadership is going and where our world is going today, if we don't put that change in our youth, we will be living in a world where nobody will be able to get outside, right? Because it's not just in Africa anymore. It's not just in the United States where you see all the crazy stories. It's not just in some third world country. Everywhere in the world that you go now, things are looking scary. And I think all the answers point to poor leadership, but these leaders, where they come from mothers who have taken the time to give birth to their children, and then the system says, well, here's who you are, this is where you belong, and there's a fight back. So I work with youth to be able to help empower them through leadership by teaching them to lead themselves first before leading others. And Stedman Graham has been my mentor in the program for the past 6 years since we've been doing it. And you have Albert, who's one of the proteges, one of the participants of the program, and he's a mentee to me as well, and he's always helping me as well in a lot of the stuff that we do because he's Mr. IT. I also founded Indox Global, which is a consulting company. We take contractors and investors into Africa to build African infrastructure. I personally believe that instead of complaining, once you're able to understand and know who you are and you have the capacity, it's important to put in the work. And I don't do the work. I'll tell you guys a story when I get into the talk for a little bit, but I hire staff and I am able to outsource the labor so that I'm not overwhelmed. And my biggest, greatest passion is working with women. Without women, there'll be no humans on Earth. It's a fact. But I think that there is so much that we have been punked by, that, you know, we go around wanting to present ourselves and speak and raise and bring out our voices and ask for permission to be in the room and want to be a leader. Meanwhile, all along, without us, none of this thing will be happening, right? And we take the time, carry children for 9 months for those who have children, and you know, raise them, spend time, money, headache, torture, and then somebody just tells you one day, this is where you have to go, here's what you need to do. And you're like, wait a minute, I could tell you all of that. So I work with women specifically to help them balance work, family, and lifestyle without getting all that burnout, and just really feel like I am woman. I don't have to have a title. I don't have to be Mr. or Mrs. or boss or anything. I am just woman, and not get caught up and lost in all of the things that we're labeled by, and just feel okay with it and not feel guilty, because I used to be that way. So that's my biggest passion. It's called High Value Women. And I work with women one-on-one. I work with women in groups. I speak to women in corporations. So this is one of the passions that I have. And that was the reason why when Danielle talked to me, I was like, yes, I don't care how tired I am. I'll make time, I'll rest, and then get my EQ on point, and then come here and get it done. So without much ado, I think we were supposed to go into the Jeopardy game, but because we're waiting, I'm just going to start and just share a little bit of, let's see if this is going to work. One of the reasons why I wanted to focus on EQ is that as someone who has 3 different businesses, and I'm also still an employee with a company, but part-time, I understand the pressure of being in a company that is male dominated. This is just a gender that I created for us today. I understand the pressure of being in an industry that is male dominated, and you're dealing sometimes with people that may not understand who you are, may not understand the value you bring, but they see you from a social structure or social construct or social perspective. And inside of you, you have so much to give, but you've been shut down. And even when you do have that ability to have an open mind and still want to speak, you still feel like you're limited, right? And then when you're done with work and then you go home, what happens? You're met with, if you have a family, you have children, or you have parents, there's still a barrage of things that you still need to process. It's like constantly doing and doing and doing and functioning. And I was that person until I found myself one day getting oxygen on the plane. And I said, yeah, ma'am, you're doing a lot. You need to just calm down and take your time and reduce all of that and take care of you. I'd been hearing self-care, self-care. I'm like, I do self-care. I'm all right. But I realized that being intelligent is one thing, having a skill is one thing, having a job is one thing, having a husband or wife or children is one thing, but understanding who I am, knowing how to take care of myself, and understanding how to manage all of this and manage my time so that I can enjoy time on earth was completely different. And it starts with me. So I noticed that a lot of times people talk about IQ, IQ. So I wanted to be able to make the difference, because when you say EQ, people kind of confuse it. I wanted you guys for the nerdy description here. We'll go into fun stuff a little later. Just this can be a conversational thing, so please share some points while you're doing that, while I'm talking. I'm actually looking at your notes. I want to be able to say, when you have a high EQ, right, and it talks about it's a quotient that measures your ability, your reasoning ability and intellectual capabilities, which is what helps with work. It's designed to reflect a wide range of cognitive skills, such as reasoning, logic, problem solving, you know, the rest. That's nice. And that's what we bring to work for the most part. Work does not really look at your personality, your character, all of that stuff in essence by the time you come in. They just want to check your resume and not who are you and how does that person add value to this company. Emotional quotient to me, which is emotional intelligence, for me, ability to understand and manage your own emotions in a positive way. Positive, I underline that because emotions can also go negative, and there's nothing wrong with negative emotions. I say positive because it's how to correct from negative to positive that makes emotional intelligence what it is. To relieve stress, because that is also something that we actually experience on a daily, and I don't know anybody above the age of 35 or 30 in America or anywhere in the world that would just say, I'm fine, I'm completely 100% stress-free. It's rare. If it's possible, then that's good. I would not love to learn from them. Empathize with yourself first. Not like I said, I'm a flight attendant. If anything happens, I put my mask before I put yours. But the thing that we do a lot, especially from a woman's perspective, is we become so much of a lead role in other people's lives, and then we ignore ourselves and we think we're doing the good thing. That doesn't help us overcome challenges. It doesn't really help us overcome conflict, because we think when we do the good, people are going to see it and understand, and when it's time for them to feel us back, they will, and they usually don't. And what happens, it builds frustration, builds resentment, and things start going up and down. Now, I have a little exercise. I don't know if you guys can join me on this, right? So as I say, let's just try to see if you can look down, like not up above, like within your eye range. Just look in the room around you. What do you see? You can see things. The room where I am, I see a TV, I see a chair, water, a lampstand, jacket, shoes, right? Those are things that you already thought about. We think about, we've been excited about the dopamine effect. We've been like, oh yeah, I want the jacket. Oh, I want to go to this place. I'm excited to come to Atlanta and speak to young people with Stedman, and it was great. Those are things we've wanted to have, and we've had them, right? If I say, okay, from that point on, look above your eyes. Is anybody doing this with me? Hopefully I'm not talking to myself. Just unmute yourself and say yes. Let me know if you're catching on. Anybody? Hello?
Oh,
Anyway.
yes. Yes, yes.
Oh,
Yes, ma'am.
good. I'm assuming that
Participating.
you guys are tracking with me. Okay, good. So from this point on, from your eye level, now you know all the things that you can see, things that are not hard for you to be. It doesn't take any effort, right? For you to be able to touch, see, use, get up, sit in the chair. It doesn't take any mind work, any kind of energy. But if you look up, when I say look up, what do you see? If you're outside, You can see the sky, trees, the ceiling, things that is not easily within your reach. If I say, okay, go out, reach out, touch the ceiling, you have to calculate, first of all, I don't want to fall if I'm climbing on a chair. So you start thinking things that, everywhere around you, you're cautious. It's like when you're looking up, it's something that is not within your reach that you can desire. You look up, you see the sky, you see an airplane, you can think about a trip. Oh, I would love a vacation right now, right? If you see trees and if you kind of see them swaying, it kind of gives you a sense of peace. It's the wind, right? If you look up and you're like, oh, I wish I could get a raise. When you're thinking about the raise, you're not looking down, you're not looking straight. You're looking up and you're like imagining. It's like a desire, right? Does that make sense? So when you look inside, when I say look within, typically for most people, not everybody, some people literally close their eyes. Why do we close our eyes when we say look within? It's like, because you can't see anything on the outside when you're looking within. And when you look within, what do you see? You don't see anything. You feel. That's where there is love, acceptance, support. That's where all the emotions reside, right? There is nothing that's on the inside that's touched, that you can touch or let me rush to get it, or it's inside of you already. You can want to go get love. You have to know that it's in there. You cannot want to go and reach for kindness. When you look within and you want kindness, you find it inside of you. How kind are you to yourself, right? The reason I'm using these examples again is because when it comes to emotional intelligence, a lot of times we find ourselves trying to find a big definition of something, or not associating because we have too much going on. It's like, why do I even bother about that? I got some projects to finish. I have this to take care of. I need to take my kid to the hospital. I gotta take care of this other stuff. There's so much going on that it's very rare that we take the time to look within. We're always looking out. When you look out, you see the chair, go, I want a better chair. I want more water, or I want something else. These are outward things. Once we start looking within, it starts changing your emotions. A lot of times, if there's a lot of fear in there, that's the emotion that's going to come up. And so you want to open your eyes and you don't want to look anymore, right? So the 4 domains of emotional intelligence that I've come to know is self-awareness, how you accept your environment, the job that you're in, your colleagues. People are going to be different from you. When you look straight, you see these people, you're like, okay, I accepted this job and I accepted all of them. When you look in your home, you see your siblings, children, partner, you're like, this is what I chose. It doesn't matter what circumstance you're going through, the awareness of the environment where you are and the people that you're out with it becomes something that you are aware of, and you're like, I did choose this. It didn't just happen by chance, right? The second domain of emotional intelligence is self-regulation. That part was one of the things that I struggled with. Regulating myself. Either I'll internalize something and just get mad at the person and talk about it to my girlfriends and not communicate it, because I know that it's inside of me. And if you ask me, how are you? Most of the time, how do you respond when somebody says, how are you? The default response is what? Fine, right? Good. Even if something is not good. But when you self-regulate, that's part of self-regulation. When you self-regulate and you understand what's going on, it makes sense. Social awareness, empathy, which is one of the things that we talked about in the game. It's one of the things that women bring as additional value to a company, social skills. So let me rush to the fun part. Benefits of women in oil and gas, you guys know that we've already talked about it. Women approach things completely differently. Research shows that diverse teams outperform non-diverse ones. But why do we still have more men in so many areas? It takes time. It's a growth process. Understanding that and having that emotional understanding that it's going to take time. We have to keep doing what we do. Makes a difference, right? So I wanted to share a story about at one of my trips to Niger. When I started Indox Global, I remember we worked with a Korean team of 4 that came from Korea, and they were looking to build an electric motorbike factory starting in Niger, which is Niamey, Niger, not Nigeria. It was myself who was the founder of the company, the 2 representatives that I had hired to work with me. One of them was the managing director, is male, and then the other team from Korea, about 4 of them. So in total, we're about 8 of us. If you go to indoxglobal.com, I think you see the pictures on there. So everywhere we went to in Africa, typically, and I don't think it's just an African problem, but typically in Africa, it's very common now where it's still such a typical patriarchal environment. So in their mindsets, it's women are secretaries and men are the bosses. So when I got there, when we went to the first minister's office, we're supposed to meet with 14 members of government. And the first office we got into, I was told I got in first because the gentlemen, the guys I traveled with were very nice people, and they let me, walk in first. And the first thing that the office attendants did was give me water to pass out to everybody. So I did. I understood instantly what was going on, but regulating myself was saying, we're here for a reason. I don't like it, but I'm going to do what I need to do in order to be able to get past this stage, right? Went to the next office, the same thing happened. And the third office, the same thing happened. And I was about to say something, but one of my team members, who is the other managing director, said, wait a minute, why do you keep giving her water to, to pass out to everyone? And he's responding in French, mais elle est secrétaire, no? And he said, no, she's not the secretary. She's the boss. She's the reason we're here. And I saw the look on that guy's face, and I felt so bad for him. His face literally dropped. And there's also this thing in Africa where people feel like if you are superior to them in a certain way, they have to bow to you. I'm like, don't do that. And at that point in time, he was trying to overcompensate for what he had done, not knowing that several other people in different offices had been doing the same thing. So from that point on, and then the rest of the team were asking me, but why did you just give them the water? And I said, I thought I was going to make a statement about it at some point when I felt like it. But I'm happy that somebody else did before I could. And so from that point on, as we're going to the other offices, they would make sure that somebody goes in first and lets them know who is coming in and who is a part of the team. I'm only saying this story because we work in these kinds of environments where it can be easy for you guys to hear people make certain comments and it becomes an HR issue in no time. And that's huge. And besides just being an HR issue, it can be something that you can carry with you and take home with you. And if you have siblings or partners at home, that if it's frustrating can carry on. Somebody might make a statement to you like, why are you here? You should be home taking care of children or something like that. It takes a different kind of emotional intelligence to be able to diffuse that kind of situation, to walk into an office and you know that you're valuable, you're supposed to be there. Nobody's supposed to tell you what to do, you know what to do, and another person tries to belittle you because of who you are, who they think you are, not who you truly are. So I came back and we had this women's conference, and I told the story in there just to share. And I'll tell you, at least 80 to 90% of the women were pissed that I was enabling these men. If I didn't say something, they should have said something right away. I don't know what you guys would have done, but in my situation, we only had a short period of time. And I needed to be able to regulate my emotions because yes, I was pissed. I was upset, but I'm not upset to the point where I was trying to ruin what we came there for. to be able to attend to something that didn't matter. For me, it was more priority. What's the key? What's priority here? Are we getting it done? Yes. How can I get past this, but make sure that I teach this person without making him feel bad what to do next time if another situation like this appears. I didn't get a chance to do that, but somebody brought that up. I don't know how you would deal with it, but I think once that concept of emotional intelligence and being able to understand myself, having an awareness of the environment, balancing, regulating my own self, understanding that social environment gave me the understanding that I'm not worried about all these people around me. I'm not afraid of anyone. I just know when to speak, right? We constantly get caught up in that cycle, whether it's at work or at home or it's in a social gathering. Why do we overfunction? Why do we do too much? There's so much that we do. I don't know about you guys, but I know that most of the women I know and that I've talked to are burnt out because of a lot that they could actually say no. But because sometimes I was afraid to say no, I would say yes, and then I'll exhaust myself. It's endless tasks and no time for ourselves. That's not healthy. Because guess what? This body and this life, I lost my brother on New Year's Day, just collapsed, and that was it. He had a job. And funny thing, I was telling Danielle, he works in oil and gas. He works for Golar. And he was planning to go offshore. And in actually the day he was buried. I'm sorry, I don't mean to make anybody emotional here, but I'm just saying this to say we're not doing ourselves any favor when we keep doing too much. We're not trying to prove anything to anyone, because until we prove it to ourselves first, who we are, your identity, how you are, your intelligence, your IQ and your EQ, your regulation, anything else that falls into place, it's a job, it's a family, it's a skill, it's a lifestyle. You have to be the one to regulate that. Because I had oxygen mask on my face, and I thought, why am I doing all of these things? There's a lot to carry. It's so easy to neglect ourselves. And what happens when we neglect ourselves? We project this persona that everything is okay, it's fine, it's okay, I got it, I can do it, I got it. No, I don't got it. I could take a step back for my husband to take care of the kids for a change. All right. We lose our own passions. I don't know, somebody was mentioning this morning about us being able to take flight lessons. Someone was trying to take flight lessons. But because they were so caught up with work, they didn't have the time to fly until they realized that they were too old to get on the plane and they couldn't see. So what are some of the passions that you have that you want to do that you've been working so much and over functioning or just overdoing that you're lost, that passion is so lost to you? And another thing is overlooking your value. Because somebody does not appreciate you doesn't mean you cannot appreciate yourself. I used to not know how to tell myself I'm beautiful. I didn't grow up in an environment where people look at you, oh, you're beautiful. I'm like, what do you want? I ain't got nothing to give you. But now I understand that unless I give myself that, I will be stuck with the value that other people give me. And if I'm not satisfied with what other people put on me or whatever labels people put on me, guess what? If they say it and they call me by that name, it would trigger me. And I'm triggered not because what they're saying is true, it's just because I don't really know who I am. And that's the only thing that I can relate to what they're saying at that point in time. So with emotional intelligence, you know who you are. At work, at home, with your friends out on vacation, you know who you are. It helps to regulate all of these things. And when we don't have these things in balance, what does it do? It creates resentment. And this resentment creates resistance for fun and pleasure. We don't want to go out there. We want to wear clothes that hide our bodies. Oh, my little love handle is coming. If I don't have a six-pack, something is wrong. Look at that girl on the billboard. Because we're not familiar with what's on the inside when you close your eyes to look within. And when you look within, all of the things that you can see can be the things that have been covered, that are layered by other people telling you who you are from childhood. Some teacher, friend, parents, maybe cousins, aunties, whatever it may be, somebody piling up things, and then you look at yourself in the mirror, the most beautiful thing in the world, but you don't see that. And that's where the problem lies. We can make time. I saw this and I thought it would be funny. This dad decided that he would challenge, he just wanted to take a nap, to not have a time to take a nap. And you have to challenge your kids to draw you while you're sleeping so that you can have a nap. Now that's creative. But how bad can it get to the point where you're not able to give yourself, trick your own children to do that? So some of the things that I feel like we can do with emotional awareness, with emotional intelligence is and awareness is, once you're aware of who you are, your identity, you understand your emotions and how to regulate them, it leads you now to start noticing some of the trauma effects that you've had from childhood. What are the things that trigger you? And when these things trigger you, what in your past can you connect to that? Sometimes I used to remember when I used to be teased when I was in school because I have big calves. In Africa, that's not cute for women. In America, they call it cute or sexy or whatever the word is. When I came to the United States and anybody's looking at, I was so self-conscious. I would always wear pants because I don't want anybody to see my feet. And the moment anybody makes a comment about my legs, I get triggered. I don't care if it's good or bad. But the moment I started realizing that it doesn't have anything to do with what someone says, it has everything to do with who I see myself, how I see myself. Because that colleague at work who sees themselves as something less than normal or valuable will reflect that on you. And it's easy, and you're working on a project together, and before you know it, you're upset at them. You're channeling something that they put on you, which is them and not you. The second thing with emotional intelligence is healing our physical and emotional trauma. Sometimes we would have been through, it could be accidents, it could be going through parents divorcing, or you or us at our age divorcing. That is emotionally traumatizing. And we kind of go, okay, we're settled, this was that, and that was done. And then nobody cares. People do. They really don't care, but until you care, they're not going to care. How do you heal from that? Do you find I cannot give you any healing within this short period of talk, but I would recommend that there are coaches and teachers out there that my personal coach, Brian, it's Brian Awakening with Brian, sorry. He has helped me to unleash a lot of things that has helped me to just regulate myself and make time for me, no matter how many things I'm doing, to find time to be able to take care of myself. Healing from physical and emotional challenges and pain is something that is very critical to how we relate to first ourselves and to others. Time management, like sometimes we spend time on the wrong things that don't matter. I have a video that I'll show you guys at the end. Hopefully we'll finish this thing fast enough. It's like a gumball challenge. I don't know if you guys have seen that before. It's a professor that took some gumballs and put in a jar, and he filled the jar, but the jar still had space for pebbles, and he filled the jar, and then there was still space for sand, and he filled it up, and then there was still space for water, which in this case he used beer. There was space for everything, but if he had put water in that jar first, or use the pebbles or the sand, there will be no space for the gumballs, right? So the idea is, when we're managing our time, what do we set as priority? Are we focusing on the thing that our emotions are really grabbing for at the moment? Or are we saying, this guy who's giving me water to pass around is not my priority. My priority is to be able to make sure this project is complete. I'll deal with this, and then maybe at the end, I'll talk to the person, the brothers here, to tell those people that this lady is not the person that should pass water around at every meeting. I don't mind doing it for one or two, but at every meeting, no. I'm a lady, I don't mind. Emotional awareness. How aware am I of my emotions? If I'm angry, I retreat. I retreat because I need to feel upset. I need to feel sad. I need to be and sit with that emotion. I don't run away from my emotions because I'm human. I don't take it to other people. Being aware of how I feel, knowing that that would affect how I communicate to somebody else. Sometimes I would even tell my friends, Albert knows that. I think I had the conversation with Albert recently, that I am dealing with a lot of emotional pressure right now. So I would be happy to have this conversation at another time. So please be patient with me. Again, that's still part of communication, which also happens to be part of emotional intelligence. How do we do that? Do you take some time to just breathe? Like, do it as many times as possible. Draw in air with several counts, 5 or 6, and release it with several counts, 5 or 6. That really also helps to calm the body down and release. I don't know how effective this is, but apparently they say it releases cortisol. It helps to reduce high cortisol. Helps also with conflict resolution. I do not care who you are. If you're born and you're on planet Earth, you have conflict with people. That's the truth. Somebody's not going to like you and you're not going to like someone. But sometimes these are people that you're going to have to work with. Without the right emotional intelligence, how do you do that? If you're in a workplace, the stress alone can just be you taking sand and water and filling it in a jar when the gumballs are there and you still need to deal with them. So in order to be able to give yourself that space where your health is more valuable, and you're like, I am not going to deal with this now. Conflict, how do you talk to the person that you have a conflict with? Are you snappy? And, it can still be, listen, this is really something that affected me, triggered me, but I think we can work through it. What do you think? And give the other person an opportunity to not be defensive, but to approach it with, oh, I see what you mean. And also be ready to accept critique. 99 times out of 10, we don't want somebody to critique us because it hurts our little feelings, right? I think that a lot of the people, this is a story that really cracked me up. A friend of mine had a medical issue. And they said he had to do a mammogram. I still don't understand why they make a man do a mammogram. He was mad. He was pissed off. He said that the clamps, and he was talking about, why do they have this thing? And I said, well, imagine us women have to do that every year. And that's the one thing that you're worried about. Wait till you know the other thing that we have to do every month or every whatever so often. And he's like, who created the mammogram? I said, well, 2 French men who probably would not like those clamps on them, right? But how does that make you feel when you're in somebody else's shoes and you've not imagined them being in that situation for so long? Regulating your emotions and being able to put yourself in another person's place helps you communicate with them better. And there's no better way to do that than knowing who you are and understanding and accepting yourself. One thing that I've known that we're doing is that we've accepted so many things in the social environment as normal. That's not right. How do you talk to yourself? Many times I used to say to myself, oh God, I'm so stupid. I should have done this. I am not stupid. I feel stupid. I am not stupid. Or how do you speak to your inner self? How do you hear the voice in your head? Are you harsh or are you kind? When you say that to yourself, when somebody says that, oh yeah, you're stupid, how does that resonate with you? Because your mind does not know the difference, whether it's real or not. It just knows, oh, stupid. So we're stupid today. Let's just find the stupid things to do. If someone repeats those negative things to you, how would you feel? Not good, right? But if someone repeats the harsh, the kind things that you could say to yourself, oh man, I feel beautiful today. Yeah, you're beautiful. I feel great today. I feel grateful, right? How do you speak to yourself? How do you not accepting social pressure is normal, allowing yourself to be vulnerable? We don't want anybody to be, what is wrong with them? They're weird. There's a book I read called by Oprah. It's called What Happened to You, not What's Wrong with You. The question people always ask, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with them? But when you change the question from an emotional intelligent perspective and ask the question, what happened to them? You come from a place of understanding, empathy, right? And that's a different perspective because now you want to see the person. And we use the words I am all the time. I am this. And when we say I am, we're embodying that thing. When you say I feel, guess what? Feelings don't last, they dissipate. I feel embarrassed versus saying I am embarrassed. When you say you are embarrassed, what happens is you're storing that in your subconscious and you're carrying it into the future. That's that person that embarrassed me. But when you feel embarrassed, you communicate it, you get past it. Guess what? In the future, you can talk about it and banter and laugh. I feel humiliated. That's you being vulnerable. I feel terrible. No, I am terrible or I am humiliated. You feel it because that feeling, guess what? With that time will pass away. It's no big deal. And you can tell yourself, I love you anyway. Another thing that I do, which is considered, I mean, social pressure would say, don't do this. Solitude. I'm sure most of you women in this group are at that place where you know being by yourself is like some of the best times you have. How much time do you give yourself alone? Not watching TV or scrolling or working, just literally putting TV aside, shutting it off, shutting the phone down, just even a minute to just listen to your mind chatter and let it just go through you. And just being in a space of gratitude. I am grateful I can breathe. How many times do you do that? And self-care. Sometimes self-care, we talk about mani-pedi or going to have massages. That's not self-care. Self-care is really being able to know who you are, accepting yourself and allowing yourself to be in both good and bad situations without punishing yourself for no reason. I love when I see women that tell themselves, I cannot make it because I don't have time. Or even if I have time, I've set this time aside for myself, so I can't come. And I'm sorry that that might make you feel upset, but I really have to take care of me today because I have overworked myself to this point. It's okay. Social pressure, no, you shouldn't say that. Why? In a work environment, it's easy to have your break time and just want to be alone. That helps you to regulate your work so that you reduce your stress and you're not burnt out at the end of the day. And then you're carrying all that stress home. And then the kids start coming around, or maybe different things hit you, and you're like, please get away from me. You're not able to be yourself when you get home, right? I'm looking at the time, so let me know if I'm going above time. It also includes self-acceptance. And I only added this little piece to it because a lot of times we confuse what dopamine does and what cortisol does. Dopamine gives you a feeling of pleasure. They're all feelings, satisfaction for a moment. Cortisol is something that it's secreted, I think, from the somebody help me, liver, lungs. I wrote that down. But you don't just get rid of cortisol the way you get rid of a feeling right away. Once you start stressing and you allow that cycle, you need to be able to take the time to look up, desire to feel better, make the effort to get there to be able to feel better. Because once you allow cortisol to get you to that place where you have obesity, heart disease, diabetes, blood pressure, you can't just unfeel that. It's reality. So without that emotional intelligence where you are able to manage your emotions at work so you don't stress, so you don't build cortisol, manage your emotions at home so you don't stress, so you don't build cortisol, manage your emotions with your friends, lifestyle, there is no way you can just turn around after you create a disease. It's going to take a lot of effort and extra work to be able to turn around. So in conclusion, I would just say that for us to be able to be in a position where you're thinking of yourself as someone who can create something for other people or create wealth for yourself, from a healthy, wealthy, and lifestyle perspective, how you talk to yourself matters. I used to not know that I could ever see $20,000 a month as a salary. Like if I see 2,000 a year, that was game changer for me. But I started talking to myself and saying, I'm worth it. I am worth it. And I've heard people tell me, no, you're not. Stop it. One of the ways that one of the things that helped me, some people ask me, how did you start Bella Masters? The kids in the program are children that have come from low income communities, and they have talents and skills, and they're amazing. Some of them are building airplane prototypes. They've never seen an airplane, never been in one. And I remember being that kid. Growing up in Cameroon, I used to see white lines in the sky, and I'll be like, I want to be in those someday. What are they called? It's like they're airplanes. I'm like, airplanes, I want to be in them. And an uncle came from the village with like cola nut in his teeth and go sit down somewhere. You're a woman. That's a job for men. You need to learn how to cook so that you can get married and have children for some man who's going to be on the plane. And I'm like, okay, thank you. I think I can do all of that stuff and still be on that plane. But that changed for me. For a while, I believed him, and I was upset because I let his words sit with me. And after a while, I think something changed when we started having TV, because at the time we didn't have no TVs around. And I started seeing things on TV, and I was like, no, I'm going to get on that plane, maybe to prove that guy wrong, if just for that. And fast forward, I came to the United States and I was able to get on a plane and started learning how to fly them. What you say to yourself has a lot to do with where you want to go, who you are, and how people see you. Speak the words to yourself that you want other people to say to you, even in the quiet of your own solitude. How do you talk to yourself when you mess up? And how do you talk to yourself when you do something good? Do you just go, oh, I'm so humble. That's okay. It's nothing. We're good. I take champagne and I celebrate. And I'm like, yeah, this is a good time. Danielle knows that. I don't play. But say these things to yourself, because now your conscious is beginning to get familiar with those things. How you communicate with yourself is going to direct how you communicate with your peers and your colleagues. When someone brings a problem to you and says, hey, Danielle, I don't know how we got to this place, but I would like for us to have a conversation because we got off the wrong foot with this project. Something did not work out right. Or I think you could do this better in this situation. You think so? Instantly we get offended because we're being corrected, because we're vulnerable, because we feel humiliated, because we feel, and it becomes a cycle. And then all of a sudden it starts triggering all of the subconscious that's in there. It's probably got nothing to do with what that person said. Has a lot to do with your emotional regulation, right? And it's just, how do you shift from being that person who sees someone as who they are and accepting them as who they are, and they're not where you are yet, and it's okay, without trying to project our own ideas, lifestyle, religion, concepts on them? It may not be something that's your jam, and that's okay. Just say, hey, you know what? That's what works for you. Great. If we're going to work together, these are some of the values, these are some of the boundaries, and here's what I think will work for us to get to work together. That affects your lifestyle, because without time, you're not going to be able to enjoy yourself. You'll be frustrated. You hang out with your friends, all you do is, oh my God, this person at work, instead of, man, let's go on a vacation, or let's do something different, right? Take some time to know and accept and care for yourself. That's one of the other conclusions that I would say. There's so much to say on this topic, but because of the time, I just want to say the best thing that I could have done for me was to take the time to know who I am. I had allowed people to put all kinds of labels on me. If they ask me, who are you? I'm a flight attendant. No, I didn't ask what you do. Who are you? If you ask a kid today, who are you? I'm Superman. Right? If you ask an old person today, who are you? They're not going to talk about what they used to do or what their job was. They'll be, I'm an old fart. But they're gonna tell you how they feel. I'm an excited, grateful person who is ready to change the world through young people and women every chance I get. And I'm somebody who's happy, loving, caring. That's who I am. Anything else you want to know? Because to me, that builds my confidence anywhere that I find myself. And if I'm not well, I take the time to take care of myself. If I don't have what I want, I take the time to plan it and I know which direction I'm going. When I know who I am, like a GPS, I'm not confused, I'm not lost. If I go take the wrong exit, I know how to get myself back on track. It builds your confidence and it eases your lifestyle. Thank you so much for your time. And I'll open up for questions right now while we play this little video. Anybody there?
We're here.
Yes, ma'am.
Somebody said it's so important to pay attention to your emotion, try, relax, and release technique breathing deeply and lean back. Yeah. Um, I know that a lot of people would say that, but a lot of people don't do it, to be honest with you. I don't know what your name is. It just says Boca, Colorado. Chris says that's
I think it was TN.
wonderful. Yeah. Oh, Tien. Okay, yeah. Hi, Tien.
Yeah, that was me, and you know, this presentation is so powerful and it jived me so well because I went in the path of meditation 2 years ago due to an event. And I kid you not, it's so important to understand who you are, what makes you
Yeah.
happy, and you have to make peace with yourself because it's too much. There's a lot of things. And you're gonna be overwhelmed time to times, and you have to accept that. Is this who I am? This is how much I will get done, and say no. Just as simple as that. Be happy.
Yep.
And yeah, so it's so important. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Tien. I appreciate it. It's so true. I'll take any other questions. If you guys have any questions or comments to make, this is just, time for us to banter. A few people joining later when we had finished our Jeopardy game, so I didn't get a chance to say hello. Maureen, Jeanette, Haley. I said hi to Bonnie already. Please ask any questions that you have. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question. I'm all yours.
So Anze or Anze, what is, and now is important like this. You know what you want. Do you accept the fact that you have to go through a pain period in order to get there? Because it's so much of the balancing act. Let me explain my situation. I want to be in the beach with my kids in Vietnam every summer. In order to do so, you need a financial support. You need a job that could be flexible for that, allow that, right? So we have to work for it. It basically is, and in order to get there, yes, I'm gonna have to go through a little pain. And then I train my mind to like, okay, this is actually pretty enjoyable. When it's so busy and everything, it's just everything to go on, you feel overwhelmed. Then you have to train your mind. You think, this is this. And then you have to focus on that regions. That's how I'm working into myself right now. It's sometimes it's on and off the train. But I would like to learn that, or you to share with us like what's how the internal process work for you.
The internal process. So before I go into answering your question, I want to ask you, when you're planning a trip, when you're trying to plan a trip, do you plan it by yourself? Do you exclude your children? Or is that something that you just think in your head and you go, I'm just going to add them to it and let them know we're going on a trip? Is that something, which way do you do it? I have a reason why I'm asking that, sorry.
When I plan a trip, I only have my children's and my husband in there.
You have them all
I
part of
haven't.
the planning. Okay,
Yeah.
so for me, and to answer your question, I don't know if I got the question correctly. If you challenges are a part of life. I don't know anyone. I always believe that um your comfort zone, which is a good place to be and is good to enjoy it, but after you've enjoyed your comfort zone for a time and you want to grow, there is no way you can grow in your comfort zone. So I know that if I want something different and something better, sometimes I create my own challenges. I go, okay, what kind of challenge can I create in this situation that will help me? It's so many different things. I can get a stack of books that I want to be able to read this number of books within this amount of time to be able to understand this, right? And some of the challenges that I'll create for myself, like if I want to travel to some place, like most recently going to Cameroon to see my dad, my goal was to be able to take him on special trips, things that would cost me a whole lot of money. And because my dad is 82 and he's on palliative care right now. So it's just, hey, what can we do to just kind of give him good emotions? And I worked overtime. I just kept working and I was looking for challenges and I'll ask people, do you have a project? Do you have this? I knew that I'd made room. I'd put aside some of my trips with the airline because I knew that this is priority for me. It's kind of like the video we're going to show. I need to know that if I am too comfortable and I want to grow, I am not going to grow. I am going to feel uncomfortable. Any mother knows that. I always use the case of a parent or a mom. Even if you've not had children, sorry, we're going to talk about this because we're all women. You have a period every month. That's frustrating to go through that. Why? Because you know that that's the challenge you go through to get to a place where you want to become a mother, right? That to me is the biggest example. And guess what? There are people that have had, like my mother, 8 children, one woman, 8. And I said, when you got to 3 kids, it didn't occur to you that that was painful. You should just stop. Like, why did you go to 5 and then 6 and then 7 and then 8? Wasn't it painful? She goes, yeah, it was. But what? You want another child, right? It's the same analogy. If you want anything else, I think to be able to manage that frustration from dealing with the challenge is to just know that something's got to give. I'm going to be uncomfortable with this situation. I'm going to Vietnam. Having kids to travel with is not easy. They're going to grab the Benadryls and all that other stuff. But that's part of the discomfort. Planning the trip, getting the money, booking the hotels, getting the airline, and any kind of miscellaneous that can happen in between. There are challenges that will come. The problem is sometimes we feel so anti-challenge that we're too comfortable in our comfort zone. Like, what's that phrase they said? Sometimes you're too comfortable in your discomfort. It's like you think that it's comfort, but it's not comfortable. If you're not growing, that's uncomfortable because you see things and you want them, but you can't get them. And your mind keeps saying, "Ooh, let's not touch that." It's gonna make us, oh, somebody's gonna say something wrong, and somebody's gonna say something, or people are gonna look at me this way. People will look at you whether you're doing something or not. If you're not doing anything, people will be like, oh, look at her. She's not doing anything. If you're doing something, oh, look at her. She's doing something. So why worry? Right? So yeah, I do make my own challenges if I don't have enough, but I make it with good balance and alignment for my health and my well-being, because when my partner needs me, I have to make room for him. When 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 my job needs me, I have to make room for that. I know that my job is going to demand my time. I know there's going to be sacrifices. I know there's going to be discomfort because I'm a part of that team. But because I know that from an emotional place, it doesn't feel overwhelming. It just feels like, oh, this is duty, right? It just feels like duty. And then you enjoy the process versus, I hate this. You know? To me, it works that way. I don't know if that answers your question.
That's it. You did. Thank you. Exactly. You have to enjoy the process in order to meet to get to the vision, the play you want to be. You have to accept that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
We had in a previous lean in with a different group, a big conversation around the get to mindset. So
Mhm.
when you do your to-do list in the morning, for example, instead of I have to, make it I get to.
I get to, exactly. I get to go to the office. I get to drive a car. I get to, I mean, imagine so many people in different places that are not even able to get in a car or have a car to drive or have a bicycle. I get to put on my own clothes. The people that don't have hands. I get to, I mean, I've seen that before, but I think it resonated more when you bring it back up. Because a lot of times we're like feeling that there's some angst to something that you have to do. Oh, I have to go pick up my kids from school. I have to do this. It eats you up. And yes, is it tiring? It sure is. And that's the one place where I feel this is what I typically do. To transition from one place to another, I make sure I take that time. I say this to all of my staff, take the time, just take a step back, just breathe. Breathe and just look within. Because the times that you start looking within your eye view and you're seeing only the things that are around you, it becomes monotonous and it can tire you out. But then you can also look at it from eye view and say, oh, I'm grateful. I get to sit on this couch. I get to be in this hotel. I get to, have this situation. Let it be a moment of gratitude every time you feel exhausted. What can I find around me now that I can be grateful for? And how can I just lean back for 1 minute? If you can do a minimum of 1 minute, just breathe. That breathing exercise has done miracles to me. That I think it's indescribable. Anybody else have another question? Thank you for that, Kat.
I have one. Hi, I'm Anna. I missed the roundabout there.
Hi, Anna.
I struggle with the idea of trying to figure out who you are without tying that to achievements or feedback from the world. And so how would you how do you go about trying to figure out who you are?
Thank you for that question, Anna. It's nice to meet you. I want to start by asking you something really quick. When was the last time you remember something that really made you laugh, like really laugh and feel happy, like joyful, got it, just got laugh?
Probably a couple days ago. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was some TikTok thing my husband had showed me.
Okay, you were with your husband and he showed you something. Do you remember what the TikTok thing was about?
I think it was pretty lowbrow, but I can't remember exactly what it was. Just something silly.
It's fine. There's a reason why I'm saying that, because most of the time when you laugh, you probably don't even remember what made you laugh. There was a moment of you just being yourself, just relaxed, right? And when is a time, whether in childhood or adulthood, if you can remember in childhood, any time, some moment that you had an amazing happy time. It could be a birthday that was celebrated, or you and your friends when you were a kid. And also another memory that you had when you were upset, was something that really triggered you, that was so upsetting that probably created a memory, created a trauma memory for you. Do you remember any of those two instances?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like
So
if you don't mind sharing.
sure, yeah. I think like sledding with my siblings was something that gave me a lot of joy, and just playing with them, playing hide and seek outside. And on the trauma side, probably, I guess an obvious one, parents got divorced at a younger age, which was a downer. So those are,
Yeah.
those would be two of the examples.
So you see that the reason I asked this is because you realize that the times when you were having fun, you were being yourself. All of those times, there was something about you that the people that are around you that love you brought something to you that made you excited. And I think if you go back, I think my little activity for you would be take a journal and just start writing as many of those good moments that you feel. And then on the back side of the journal, I would write anything that you remember that didn't make you feel good. When you write the things that make you feel good, remember them when you start feeling triggered. So go back to the things that didn't make you feel good, read them. And when the triggers come, ask yourself, why did this trigger me? Why did this make me so upset? What is it that you felt that you lost at that time? Because who we are, imagine a beautiful little baby like you, beautiful little Anna when you were born, and people were coming to your house and you were 2 years old and like, oh my gosh, she's so cute. Look at her cheeks. And then you've grown to this person all the way that you're not identifying as beautiful little Anna anymore, or Anna, the sibling who is happy, right? Some of the conversations you might have had with your siblings and your friends when you were just happy. If somebody were to ask you at the time when you were sledding, who are you? Me. Ah. That's it. There's no obligation for you to say, I am Anna, the amazing sledder, or I'm Anna, the person whose parents got divorced, or attaching something to who you are is when you feel like you've lost your identity. It's okay to just be Anna. And if anybody wants to know any more, be like, Anna, please tell me about what do you do for a living? Then the conversation continues. Give people room to peel the onion. It's like a magnolia. It does not just, there's so many leaves. If it was just one leaf, it wouldn't be as beautiful as all the other ones, right? Because you're only giving one part of you that you think holds your value. It's not true. Because if I ask you more questions about other things that made you happy, those are the times when you were yourself. And to your husband, were you the Anna, the person that's the job or whatever who works here and stuff? No, you were just Anna, my wife. Right? And
Yeah.
those are the most beautiful moments that you can relate to. And the reason why we keep wanting to add is because when we go out into the open and we meet people, we've had these feelings of embarrassment, vulnerability, all this humiliation. Your parents divorce, you feel like you've taken onto their thing. And if you don't project something that's big, people will judge you. If people ask me, who are you, Anze? What do you do? I do a few things. I do A, I do B, I do C. What else do you want to know? How do you do it? And then it becomes a conversation, right? And allow people to ask the conversation without giving them too much that they've not asked for. Does that make sense? And does that help?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's just fantastic. I really like your exercise, and I'm gonna give that a shot because I really need to steer away from defining myself by achievements, and get back into that thinking of who I am just as me sitting around.
Yeah, and I think it's also because we've been conditioned to think that if we don't say something else, somebody's going to take something, or we can lose something if we don't like really grab that. If it is not yours, you're not going to keep it. Unfortunately, if I did not need somebody to say to this guy that I was the boss or the CEO of the company and I brought these people here. My identity had nothing to do with the guy that was giving me water to pass around. I didn't owe him any explanation of who I am because I know who I am. And when we got there, and when we got to the office of the Speaker of the House of Assembly in Niger, and he was asking, it was a key, like, who are you? And I'll say, I'm Anze. okay, what do you do? What do you represent with the company? I will explain. They go, oh, so you're the one that brought everybody. Yeah. And now that opens up, it's like peeling an onion, and the conversation becomes much more. So I think the fear is because we don't want people to think of us as small, because we're already, if you don't want that, what is the trigger that's making you to think that somebody can think you're small? It's because you've not given value to yourself to just be you and be okay with it. And Anna, if I want to peel the Anna onion, I promise you I will come up with more things that are more valuable than your job. Anna is the kindest, maybe a sweet person, maybe a giver, maybe somebody who's very loving. Anna is an amazing, Anna is happy. There's so many things that I can find, but you block it with just the job. And then it becomes a conversation about your job. You are enough. You are 1,000,000% enough. You don't need any labels or titles or anything. Once you know who you are, it's enough. Thank you, Katie. Sorry for that. We're going to end in just a second too, so that's fine. And I hope that helps you.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was really fabulous. So I really appreciate that.
You're welcome. I'll take one more question and then we will just play the video, and if we have time, we'll finish the Jeopardy game. Anybody ask one more question? Katie's saying she's gonna leave. Okay.
Sorry about that, but thank you so much. I really enjoyed your presentation. It was really
Thank
it was really
you.
great to
No
listen to.
worries.
Thanks.
Thank you. I wish I had because I'm about to, thank you, Katie. I'm about to launch a new group coaching session for high value women. And we do a 6-week course. I would share this with Danielle, who can pass it out to the Woga team if you guys want to join, and we'll make sure that we give you guys a special recognition. But because I had to take some things off of my plate to focus on the youth leadership program, I was saying I could stop this because, again, I run the show, so I can put a pause on that and come back to it, right? A lot of times it's like, whoa, but if I leave this and then this is going to happen. No, it was okay to just keep it on the side and then focus on what was important and what was priority at the time, and myself, because I had let myself go for a minute. So thank you again, and thank you, Katie, for joining. If anybody else has one last question, let's take it, and then we'll go into the video and close. Okay, looks like nobody has any other questions. I will really highly recommend, I'll send, I have an activity which is one of my, I call it Dare to Love You. It's a challenge that I do for 7 days with a lot of women, introduction challenge. I'll send those to you guys to actually do it on your own. Typically, it's something that I run with a program of women, and I'll just send you those things and take the time this week to just look through it and take those challenges. You have my message, my email, and I think my social media. You can just send me a DM or something if you have any questions. Please, I'm here. I am not one of those people that's out of reach. Just ask me questions if you can. I'll send this activity to Danielle to share with you guys, and let me know how it goes for you, because that will actually help you to create a lot more room for self-development, empowerment, and being able to understand yourself and have, you know, a much easier flow with your work, with family, and with your lifestyle, and making room to go on vacations like Tien. If you can play the video now, Albert, please. Albert?
Yes.
Okay,
Got
go
it.
ahead and play the video, sorry. And then if we still have some time, we can just finish the Jeopardy game.
Is this jar full? And is it full now? And how about now? Is the jar full now?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's having way too much fun with it.
Now I want you to recognize that this jar represents your life.
Oh, you guys are welcome.
Golf balls are the important things, your family, your friends, your health, and your passions. The pebbles are the other important things, your car, your job, your home. The sand is everything else, it's just the small stuff. Now, if you put the sand in the jar first, you won't have room for the pebbles or the golf balls. The same is true in life. If you spend all your energy and your time on the small stuff, you won't have time for all the really important things that matter to you. Pay attention to the things that are critical to your happiness. Take care of the golf balls first, the really important things. Set your priorities, because everything else is just sand. Yes.
Professor, what does the beer represent?
I'm glad you asked. It goes to show that no matter how full your life may seem to be, there's always room for a couple of beers with a friend.
No matter how full your life is, there's always room for a couple of beers with friends, right? So I really appreciate your time, guys. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to sit here with you today. I know you guys are amazing people doing your thing at your jobs. I would love to come see you guys again another time. Please feel free to reach out. I put my Instagram handle on there, Anze Live. I am sometimes not very good at doing that. And then with Bella Masters, it's Young Bella Masters or bellamasters.org if you want to check it out. And if you know any young people that are between the ages of 15 to 25 that are able to join the program, please let them sign up. That would be awesome. It's a free program. Again, it's a 5-week thing that is taught by Stedman and a few other entrepreneurs. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll send those activities to Danielle. And for those that want to stay around and finish the Jeopardy game, that's fine. Let's just put it up and I will be the next person that will. Thank you, Danielle. Oh, sorry, Tien.
Oh, so good. I have a meeting 1 minute that I need to
Okay,
hop
that's
out.
fine.
But let me say this, I totally love this. Thank you so much, Anza. Yes.
All right. My
I really
pleasure.
would love you in person. I think we are speaking the same frequency.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. And I appreciate you guys. Thank you, Danielle, for this opportunity.
No
You are
big
the best.
deal.
I appreciate you so much. And you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. And I look forward to seeing you guys again. Like I said, ask me questions, reach out, check out Instagram or whatever. I don't use Facebook a lot, so you won't find me there.
Thank you
Well, I
so
sent you
much.
a request on LinkedIn,
You're
so
welcome. Oh,
yes.
okay. Yeah, I will check out the LinkedIn. I would I'm not too active on LinkedIn as well. I have my staff that actually helps me with that page, but I'll be more active on it as best as I can. If I have any place that I go to a lot more because a lot of the young people are there with me, it's on Instagram, but I'll check out my LinkedIn as well. And I do appreciate you. Thank you guys for the questions. Anna, thank you for your question. And Kat, I look forward to seeing you again another time.
Absolutely. And I'm going to send your link to, I just finished the second round of scholarship reviews for a group that I work with. So it's called the Greenhouse Scholars. I will definitely send them your link so that they can distribute it much more widely.
Perfect. I would love to take a look at that. That would be awesome. I think I would love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
And have a great week, everyone. Thanks, Bonnie. Thank you, Jennifer. Let me see who else was hiding back there without showing their faces. I think they've all checked out. All right. Bye, guys.
All right.
Thanks a
Thank you
lot.
so much.
Bye.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you.